All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining me tonight live in the Counselor's Corner. Tonight, I have a very special guest, and we're going to be discussing, serious topic. But before I get into that, I guess let me tell you my guest is going to be Lisa Christie, and I'm going to read the introduction. But before I get into all that, how is everybody doing on this? Well, I know here in Baltimore, it is still still blistering hot. So I'm so ready for the fall, and I can honestly say I think I'm ready for the winter weather as well because I can't take all this heat. So I got a couple people on. Donna, thanks for joining. Ronald Ward. So I'm not going to go to my usual counselor's concerns. That's for another time because Lisa's time is valuable. Actually, she's on the line right now. But before I bring her in, I'm just going to give you an introduction. So Lisa, she's going to be talking about her testimony on my platform tonight, discussing the Me Too movement and her experience as one of the many accusers of Bill Cosby. Lisa is a former Miss America with 1998 and a certified fitness expert for shows such as The Doctor Show and Dr. Phil and many fitness infomercials and DVD like the P.I.N.K Method, South Beach Diet. Lisa is also an author of America the Windstorm and is a national and international professional television host, model, actor, singer, a private coach, and a personal trainer. Lisa has a master's in transformational leadership, a BA in science of management, and an AA in communications. She developed an all-natural personal care line called Be Harmony. Lisa and her husband are the proud parents of 5 children, and they own a Kung Fu school where they provide training to the inner city children. She also is a black belt, so that lets you know she don't play around. She is New York State teacher certified and an adjunct professor at Medaille College and University of Buffalo. Lisa has her own ministry called Royal Sunshine, which fights slave trafficking and builds orphanages. She supports the American Heart and Stroke Association, Women and Children's Hospital, the Buffalo City Mission, and Cornerstone Manor, victims of domestic violence. She teaches Bible studies. She speaks and sings at churches, events, and for organizations sharing her testimony and passion to help heal victims of rape and abuse from the inside out. So, wow, that's a lot. So I'm going to bring Lisa in at this time. So, good evening, Lisa. How you doing?
Good evening, David. How are you?
I'm great. Excited to have you on here and just reading your bio. Where do you find time to do all this stuff? That's a lot.
Oh my gosh, I actually have a lot of projects coming up, and I get a little bit overwhelmed because my husband's like, "Don't please take on one more thing." But I have a company. I'm going to be like the chief fitness officer for their company and doing a lot of blogging and advertising my stuff. But then I have another company wants me to do international work for them doing TV and radio, but I also have my own project for a TV show coming up where I can, put all my stuff out there and really work on my ministry, Royal Sunshine, where it's fighting slave trafficking and building orphanages. And, it's just, my heart goes there because, I watched a video years ago, Joyce Meyers had it on there, and they were talking about one girl that is kidnapped, is brought overseas into a brothel. She's in there 15 hours a day, and she's drugged. And if she happens to die, they sell her body parts on the black market. If she gets pregnant, and they literally wait for her to have her baby, and they sell it to pedophiles, like a baby farm. If they can't get rid of that child, they literally cut their limbs off, so they become beggars on the street. And if it's just one person. So I also was looking into that, and that to try to build these orphanages and give them a career so that they don't go from these small villages and they come into the bigger cities and they're either tempted into going into this sort of lifestyle, or they're kidnapped, because they're just trying to find a better life for their family. They don't have money. They're very poor and impoverished. So, supporting things like that is very important to me. And so getting into, I was just thinking when you said black belts, had I known that years ago in my life, it might have made a huge difference in some aspects. But I got to say, the whole Bill Cosby, I thank you for the opportunity to talk about the Me Too movement and the opportunity to talk about Bill Cosby. A lot of people are like, why the heck? I always see you post, and I could tell you right after I did my statement, the first girl, she put a statement on my Facebook page. She's like, I was raped and I didn't go on TV and I didn't make all this kind of money off of this and that, and you're just trying to ride off of Bill Cosby's skirt tails and be successful. And I literally said to her, I'm so sorry that anyone ever hurt you, and you are going to be in my prayers for the rest of my life. But please read my statement. I was never raped by Bill Cosby. I paid for my own flight to California to give my statement. I paid for my own hotel. Nobody paid me for any interviews with any of these TV network stations. I did that not only for my dad, because I promised him years ago that I would speak up. I was so upset that I never said anything, but I never wanted to ride off of his back tail. I never wanted to, ride off of his fame. But, I didn't even know if I was ever going to talk. But when there's so many of them, I felt courageous to come forward and support those victims that he damaged. I was one of the lucky few that got away. I think it was my lifestyle. And that's why I won the Mrs. America pageant, because it was my lifestyle. I was brought up a good Christian. My father was a pastor's kid. I was saved since I was 7. I moved to New York with morals and values at the age of 15. So I was offered all the nude parts. I was offered all the lingerie. And, I remember my agency booked me for a nude photo shoot, it was just for a magazine, I believe. And I walked in and I had told my agency I don't do nude. And I walked in and they said, okay. I said, well, do you have the outfit I'm supposed to wear today? What do you want me to wear? And they said, oh, no, just take your clothes off and go on the set. And I said, yeah, I don't think so. And they said, what do you mean? We booked you for the day. And I said, I don't care what you did. You talked to my agency. I never said I'd do that. I walked off the set. That's how strongly I felt about it. I wasn't a drinker. I wasn't designed to drink. David, I'm a lightweight. I always just tell guys, I'm not a cheap date. I'm a cheap drinker. It's not like my food. But I just could never handle alcohol, so I just didn't. And I also, is modeling, entering in the world of modeling at the age of 16 professionally, not just being a local model, but I moved to New York City, got an agency, had 8 offers, and I picked the one that really was motivated the most by me. And so you constantly had to worry about your weight, you're constantly working out. I was starving myself. I had eating disorders, because one day you're too fat, one day you're too thin. So, to drink was not my thing. And I was a lightweight, so it didn't take much. I would black out on 2 drinks. So I was like, there's no way I want to stay in control. And I wasn't a drug user. So I was never designed for medication, like a small print of, side effects. So going into this whole situation, when I met Bill, I had come back from Germany. I was with IMG, and I got a new booker. And I wasn't being sent out on gigs. She just didn't like me. So I went to the president of my agency and I said, what am I supposed to do? I'm finding out other models that are my type. They're getting sent on all these things. I'm not getting my regular clients to book me. What's going on? And I said, I really want to change my booker. Can you do that? She said, we can't, because we have certain bookers for certain people and certain types. I said, well, I'm going to have to leave because I'm not getting any money. I'm not making any money off those ladies. So I was referred over to Sue Charney with Faces. Sue Charney was really good friends with Bill. I didn't know, she brings us all to the Bill Cosby show. So she said, I want you to meet my friend after the show. I think it was maybe 5 to 8 of us girls that went to the show. And we were like lined up against the wall, like cattle. I remember feeling really weird, waiting. Because I was hanging out with Rick James at 14. You know what I'm saying? I was hanging around with celebrities. Like, it was just, to me, I was looking at them as a person and talked to them as a person. That's why they were so cool with me all the time, because I never looked at them as someone bigger than me. I just looked at them as a human being. I just love people.
So how did how did you get hooked up with like Rick James? It seems like those like a lot of opportunities. A lot of opportunities people look for, and they only can hope for it to get connected with these big time individuals. But it seemed like they kind of fell in your lap. So how did that go about?
Honestly did. Okay, so Rick James was from Buffalo. They lived on Jewett Homewood in Buffalo. So I met him. Actually, this photographer just passed, Jim Bush. He was one of my first photographers. He took pictures of me when I was probably about 14 years old. So at 14, I get this gig. I'm with June 2. I was, Rosalind Learzak in Buffalo. And I get booked for this job with Rick James' album cover and some kind of ad for the Rolling Stone magazine. So I meet him, and we just clicked, as friends. But I'm 14. I hung out. Let me just explain something. Since I was probably 13 years old, my uncle was a DJ at Studio 54 in New York. He had a lot of friends. I hung out with a lot of adults since the time I was young. And so I was used to, everybody thought I was older. So when I met him, I remember, and I was thinking, because my mom knew I was a good kid, he was picking me up in my driveway. And I was thinking to myself now, I look back in hindsight, what the hell were you letting me go with Rick James for? Even though he never tried anything and I went to his home, I would counsel him. And we'd talk about his mother and how his friends used to use him and trash his house. And it was just looking back, he never tried anything on me, ever. So, it wasn't until he was, we used to go into clubs and do fashion shows. And I don't, again, I was underage, but our agency would bring us in to do fashion shows in all these clubs. And I remember him coming in one day, and he said, listen, I don't know if he was on drugs, but he was not himself. He was drinking, and he's like, in front of everyone. He's like, Lisa, I love you. I want to marry you. I'm like, Rick, I like that. You're telling everybody that. And I never talked to him again. I literally cut him off after that. Because I was like, you're letting people think that there's something going on. I was a virgin, David, until I was 21 years old. I was that much of a Christian. I was very strong in my faith and my belief. I was a little gung-ho, a little overboard. You know how when people first get saved, they're like in your face. I was kind of that person. So yeah.
It seems like, when I think of that, and that might be at a different level when you even think about like the R. Kelly situation. It seems like that was just a part of the culture, and your parents, they trusted these individuals for Rick James to come pick you up in the parking lot like a grown man, and like you said, you were 13.
No, listen, man. Okay, I know you talk a lot about this, but I had a stepfather who was prejudiced. And, he was Italian and said a lot of things. Now, I was raised race or education or social position. Colossians 3, Galatians 3 will differentiate you through Christ Jesus. We're all from the same God. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. All different flavors, all different colors, but we're all from the same God. And so I was raised differently. So, I'm surprised, but my mom was really the one who was always given the permission. She's my mother. She's my biological mother. So my dad was always apprehensive of a lot of stuff. They were divorced. So he didn't really know a whole lot because he lived farther away. He wasn't too involved. He was too busy making money. He was a financial advisor accountant. So he was just not really too involved in his upbringing of his children and participating in sport events and stuff like that. But, when I met Bill, we were up against the wall like cattle. And I remember feeling really awkward. This was stupid, because I'm used to being around these people. Why am I standing against the wall like this? So I remember him coming up to me and asking me what I wanted to do. And I said, well, I love modeling, but I knew since I was 5, I wanted to model, start acting, and then end up in television, whether singing or some kind of TV host, something. I knew exactly what I was going to do. And when he came up to me and I said, I want to get into acting, but I don't want to be known as some dumb model because I'm offering stuff all the time, but I would turn stuff down. Again, nudity, if there's anything inappropriate, I wouldn't take the part. Even if I got it, I would turn it. I would say, sorry, you guys didn't tell me that was in the script. I'm not doing that. Oh, no. We're only going to show this much. I'm like, I don't care. I'm not doing that. That's not how I'm representing. So I walk away. But when he said, okay, well, I can help you with that, I thought, I did some research on him. Like, the guy makes $115 million a year. How many opportunities you get? Well, I'll take his advice. But he became like a father to me. Mm-hmm. He literally, honest to God, I loved him like a dad because I didn't really have my dad in my life. He was too busy working, making money. So he really took such interest in my life, in my education. So when I, became friends with him, he started taking me on Jello commercials. He said I needed to go back to school. If I was serious about acting, I needed to get an education. He was big on education. Mm-hmm. I remember sitting in his, in Queens, where his studio was, and we were in his office. I look back in hindsight because I'm looking at these things. I probably killed the mood, to be honest with you, David. So we were on a big God conversation, because I know that was that space that he did some things to people. And And I never knew that until I came back from my statement. I never knew what he did to these people. I didn't know he did, stuff in their drinks and stuff. I started thinking back in hindsight, holy crap, I got to think about these things. How many times it could have been, So, when we were in that office of his, I remember we were in a big conversation about God. He said, God is like a book on the shelf. You just take them down when you need them. And I was like, wow, And he would just get back into education's important. You need to do this. So, okay, I go back to school and I listen to him because I'm thinking, he knows what he's talking about. So he'd fly me back and forth as I was at Buffalo State College and for theater major, dance minor. And I would be on the show as an extra. And he'd, buy the clothes that he needed for the show. I thought that was just part of it. But I never asked the man for anything. Never asked him to pay for his life. I never asked him for, hey, can you give me money? It was never that kind of, he literally was like a dad to me. He would give me advice for things. And I never saw, a lot of times you do like a fat check on my stomach when you see you need to lose weight or, you look good or whatever. I was like, okay, thinking, look at you. What are you checking me for? But I got it because I'm a girl and I'm in the industry. So you gotta be primed. I understood all that. But, moving on, I knew him for almost 2 years. So I remember before the very last, I even went to, we went into the village. And I remember, and looking back at all this again, David, he said to me, he wanted me to replace Lisa Bonet on the show. And I kept saying, Bill, I'm not black. He goes, but you could be mulatto like her. We would just curl your hair. You could get a little skin. You could replace her. And I kept saying, but Bill, I'm not black. I'm not black.
Why do you think he wanted you to? Why do you think he wanted you to replace her?
You know what my theory is, and everybody, don't sue me for any theories. It's just a theory because I saw a lot of. Listen, in hindsight, looking back, what happened on that set, the way he used to act towards young girls, and they sit on his lap, and now once you sleep with a person, you understand the physical contact. I didn't understand that because I was a virgin until I was 21. So I knew him around 18, coming back from Germany. So I'm almost, almost 20 years old. But looking at how he reacted to people, you knew that he was physical with these people. And I remember him saying to Felicia Rashad, since you got married, you don't kiss the same. Or, just little things on the set that were kind of like, what? That's weird. I could never feel comfortable sitting on him and doing that, because I thought of him like a dad figure. So looking back in hindsight, you start to see things. So when he said Lisa Bonet, and I was just like, that's kind of weird, like is she getting off the show? And he even had me dress like her, even down in the village. I remember Dizzy Gillespie was playing, and it was just. I remember him asking me if I wanted a drink, and I said, Bill, I don't drink. I just don't drink. I was like drinking cranberry juice. That was my choice drink back then. And I remember, pushing for me to have a drink. I never did. I never did have a drink. So, and the last time that I was going to meet him out, I remember he was on the phone with me. He said, "I love you." And I said, "Oh, Bill, that's so sweet. I love you too." Like I thought he was like, "I love you, Lisa." I didn't know he meant "I love you." So, and I remember he said to my mother, "She's gonna come back a different woman." And she's like, "What does that mean?" Because my mom's a good person. She was same kind of person, virgin till she's 21, waited for her husband. He was just, you know what I mean? She was about Christian. She wasn't really on the world. Anyway, so I'm on my flight to go to Chicago, the Ambassador East Hotel. And he had told me that he wanted me to go there to audition for Ghost Dad. So he said, I know you're doing this TV show for Channel 2 in Buffalo. Maybe, you should be in broadcasting, but I want you to try out for this movie. Just meet me at the hotel. So I thought I'm getting my own hotel room. I did not think I was staying in his hotel room. And people like bringing that up, but no. I thought he had a hotel for me because the bell guys are like, okay, we're going to take you to your room. And I thought, my room. Now, David, the door opens, and I almost crapped my pants because there he is in his pajamas with a cigar in his hand, sitting on the hotel couch. Wow. And all of a sudden, that drop in your chest, you feel that red flag goes up, and you're like, whoa, hang on a second now. So immediately when I go in, he says, go have a seat at the table. I have dinner waiting for you. Okay, it's ready for you. And he said, I want you to eat while I watch. He wanted to watch my show that I was doing in Buffalo. Mm-hmm. And I just remember eating and feeling real sick about it. It's just like finally it was clicking in after all this time. And then I remember he said, come on over and sit next to me on the couch. And he said, he had a drink. And I remember this was like a, thumb and forefinger length drink, and it was one of those narrow glasses, and it was on the rocks, and it was like a brown color. And I said, Bill, I don't drink, And I said, it makes me sick to my stomach. I get a stomach ache from it. And he kept pushing. He was like so prioritizing for me to have this drink, pushing. And I remember on the plane, I had 3 cranberries because I always just stuff that stuff down. But most people don't know this, but when you have cranberries, it actually saved your girl from a date rape drug because it was able to flush it out of her system faster. So I remember when he kept insisting, I took a sip. And I remember it tasting just like bitter and disgusting. And I put it down. I said, I'm not drinking that. And so then he had me go over to another area of the room. This is like a penthouse room, right? And I instructed me to read this newspaper like an anchor. He goes, I want you to read this newspaper, act like you're an anchor, because I want to see if maybe you should be an anchor instead of acting. And okay, so I did that. And then he said, okay, come sit down. Let's do an acting exercise. Now, I had been to a brownstone, too. Now, I got to tell you this. When I came back from my statement, I was in that same brownstone. Beverly Johnson was in, and I remember this huge copper cappuccino machine when I walked in, and nobody was there. I thought, where's his wife? His secretary was always calling me. I mean, telling you, David, I had like records. I am the person that would write down. Bill called me today at 11:52 a.m. on this date. And this is what we talked about. His secretary made this flight, and I was on this flight, such and I arrived, and he had a car pick me up, whatever. I mean, I kept that's just how I was. I'm always writing notes on scrap paper, and I would all put it into my, my agency book and stuff like that. And I remember when I was in that brownstone, he said he wanted me to do an acting lesson. So I met him over at the brownstone, and the first thing he asked me was, did you want a cappuccino? I'm like, oh my gosh, because I love coffee. I mean, I'm a connoisseur. So I said, I love coffee. I would love one. And I remember he got a phone call and went in the back of the brownstone. It was almost like a kitchen. I didn't go back there because I wasn't going to snoop around. Anyway, he's on the phone for a long time. And the next thing you know, he's like, you got to get out of here. You got to leave. You got to leave right now. You got to get out of here. So I never had that coffee. So when I came back to my statement and I saw Beverly Johnson's statement that she had that cappuccino, and she was like, I thought, holy God, she had my back. Because so many times, I never even knew. It was like I dodged a bullet all those different times.
So was that the last?
Chicago, right? Go ahead.
So was that the last time you had saw him? Because I know I seen on one of the interviews.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, go ahead.
Okay. If you had more, because I was wondering, because I know.
Yeah. So I'm still in the hotel. This was the last time I saw him. So I'm in the Chicago Ambassador East Hotel, and okay. So when I go over to the couch, I do the reading, like an anchor. He says, go sit down on the couch. And we're going to do an acting exercise. It was an imagine action exercise. Kind of like you imagine this thing. He's talking to me. And the next thing I know, David, he starts to kiss me like a boyfriend would. And I literally pushed him off and said, what are you doing? And he said, you told me that you loved me, And I was like, when I told you I loved you on the phone, and I love you like a dad. And then he got mad. So he raised his voice and he's like, you owe me. And I was like, I've never asked you for anything. And then his tone changed. And he went to, I don't think he was ever, thinking back in hindsight, I don't think he knew how to handle someone awake and coherent. You know what I'm saying? Like, it didn't work on me because he couldn't give me a drink with something in it. So then he went to, I'll give you the biggest orgasm you've ever had. And I don't even know what that meant because I hadn't even had sex yet. I was that good as a kid. I mean, I was like an anomaly. So I thought it had to be sexual, but I was like, and I just didn't know what it meant. And then he said to me, you're never going to make it in this business unless you sleep with me. I'm telling you, something revved up inside me that I told you I tell people off or I, walk out the door. I just was like, shame on you, Mr. Father Figure of America. I remember saying, your kids are older than I am. You just messed with one of God's children. You're in big trouble, mister. I said, I want to get a flight out of here right now. And he's like, there's no more flights leaving Chicago tonight. And I asked him where I was going to sleep. And he was like, here. As he's backing up through these penthouse doors into his bedroom, saying, this is your last chance. You want to make it in this business, you have to sleep with me. And I remember sleeping on that couch. And I remember feeling so betrayed. I felt like I was thinking he was going to rape me. I was so scared on that couch. I don't think I slept one bit. And I remember I got up in the morning and he was on the phone and he said, here's all your flight information, blah, 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 blah. he said, call me tomorrow. And I said, Bill, I will never talk to you or see you ever again. And I never did. You know, and a lot of people say, you know, I think that the reason that my story was so different is because I didn't live that kind of lifestyle. I was a Christian kid. I'm a minister now. You know, I've even had the preacher show try to ask me on, and they tried to trick me. They're like, we want you on our show, just so you know that they're, you know, they all sided with Bill Cosby. And I said, did you not do your homework? And they're like, what do you mean? I said, I'm married to a black man, and I preach in black churches and Latino churches, and I have really good friends. They're African-American family. So if you thought you were going to go on there and play the prejudice card, it's not going to happen, because that's not me.
So
it never was me, you know.
So when
and they were like, you know, I got to talk to my producer. I'm like, yeah, you do.
So when did you finally tell somebody? When did you tell your mother, like once she returned, or did you keep that information to yourself
yeah,
for a while?
I called my mother right away. My brother was so mad. He knew. For some reason, my brother knew. You know, he was just starting the Marines, and Bill was saying, "Oh, I'll help you in the Marines, and I know people." And my brother was like, "I don't want this guy's help. He's a scumbag." You know, my brother had no, and my father felt the same way. And I remember when I told my dad, I remember what he said. He was so mad. He said something. Oh, I told him, and then he called me up after his son died, and he said, "See what happened to you when you mess with my kid. See what God does." And I said, "Now listen, Dad, I never wish bad upon him. I do nothing but pray for the people that hurt me, and I never wish bad upon him or his son. That's not how I do it. I do things." And this is a pastor's kid stuff, you know. But he was so mad that he did that. But I remember he was like, "Woohoo!" Like when his son died, and I was like, "Dad, that's not right. That's just not right." And that's not how I walk. You know, people ask me that. You know, how do you forgive someone like that? Well, listen. I wasn't raped by them, but I felt very betrayed by someone who I trusted. I felt like he was my dad. He was my mentor as far as I was concerned. You know, I teach business, and I just thought this was I was, you know, his protege, and he was my mentor, and you know, he was going to help me become the best, because I was always about being the best in everything that I do. So, but I did tell him that I wasn't going to sell myself for anyone, and that I was going to make it without him. So when I won that Mrs. America pageant, that was like, thank you guys for blessing me for that. You know, proving to him that I didn't need him to make it, and doors just opened up from there. But I do want to say the misconception that's out there is that, you know, riding off of Bill and living in 2 or 3 story mansions, and I'm just living the high life and just trying to make some money off of this. That's ridiculous. Man, I'm on a Facebook page, David, with these victims, and he has damaged these women. And I can tell you, being a rape victim later on in my life when I got a divorce, because I was married, my first husband was very abusive. I can tell you that I learned to forgive. Even that saved me, because it's the person that hurts you still doesn't win. They can't keep hurting you if you forgive them. But if you don't forgive people, they're in your relationships with your husband, with your children, with your work people, your friends. You never let them go. They're still in your life because you're still talking about it, and you're letting them win over your life. So, you know, this, I just say, as far as the Me Too movement is supporting these people. And the whole case, I can tell you, here's the best part. When he first went to trial, and he didn't, you know, get convicted, my husband says to me, "See, I told you he's not going to go to jail. He just, you know, he's so Cosby, blah, blah, blah." And I said, "You mark my words today. It's going to go back to trial, and he's going to get, I don't care if it's 18 months or 3 years, but he's going to get a criminal, you know, time. He's going to get time in jail." And it took his dissertation being released, and talking about, you know, giving women drugs for sex. It took the statute of limitations being changed in the state of California. It took a lot of movement in order for things to change and for it to go back into court. It was just all about timing. You can't be hurting people since the 60s and think you're never going to get caught.
Now,
the problem is, though, go ahead.
Now, let me ask you this. So a lot of people are upset at the fact that, you know, because of Bill's age, and they feel that Caucasian guys have did that all along themselves. But why haven't you seen any of them end up in prisons such as Bill. So I think, that's why a lot of people, this subject is very touchy to some people because they don't feel that despite, what he was accused of doing and what he's serving time for, they feel like he shouldn't be, in jail because other people got away with it.
Well, he just hasn't gotten caught yet, as far as I see. I mean, what about the Harvey Weinstein case? What is he, Jewish? He's still considered white. He's not black, right? And you got a lot of people that it was just a different era of. And I was thinking back in hindsight, I can go back all the way back to when I'm younger in my first job. I remember being harassed by many men. It was my whole story of my life. I mean, from the time I was a little girl, older guys were doing stuff like that. And it was mostly white men. I could just say that. It wasn't until I met Rick James I was the first African-American that, I really started to hang out with. So my brother had an African-American friend down the street. It was his best friend in the World War, So it was, we had one black kid, I think, in our school, maybe two. But I do think that it's eventually being caught up. The only thing I say about the Me Too movement, I do feel sorry for men in general because, and I can tell you this, my brother is a Marine. He's retired. But when he had his wings, he was at a party with a white girl. And my brother's white. Uh-huh. So he was with a bunch of guys, and this girl was upset that none of them were hitting on her and giving her what she wanted. And she went and cried rape. My brother and all these guys almost lost their wings, how hard they worked for those wings. But when the higher, I don't know if it was lieutenant or who it was at the time, but sat down with the girl and questioned her on what rape was, and she didn't know what it was. So they threw it out. But people are abusing, sexual harassment, Chapter 7, in the workplace, and Chapter 9 in the colleges and stuff, but it's becoming more prevalent to, it's mandatory to read about it. It's mandatory in the workplaces. You have to go take classes on it. It's mandatory in the colleges for students when they go into colleges and take an hour exam online so they understand and they're aware. Knowledge is key, but I do feel sorry. It's like a man can't even open the door anymore for a woman. One guy had a broken foot, and he's got an amazing, car, and he's dressed to the hill, and he sees me with a broken foot, and he's opening the door in front of me, and he looks at me and he pushes the door shut. I don't know who pissed him off. I'm not sure. It was a woman, but, it's a different age today. And I told my students, the first thing I told them on Tuesday, I feel sorry because you got to be very careful. You got to be careful the compliments you get and the things that you say to a woman today than you ever did before, because they could be misconstrued and turned into harassment. There's some fine lines in the laws and statutes in each state. So,
and that makes, like you said, it makes it difficult. But then when you think about it, most romances and relationships sometimes start at the job place. So I don't know how you have the balance of, again, if you're a man and you're interested in someone, but yet and still, well, that you can't really email anyone, you really can't text them and leave any incriminating evidence. So it's kind of hard out there.
You got to be very careful, right? You got to be almost like a lawyer when you're getting to know someone, so they don't use it against you, or they're not. And then again, you don't know if they're playing you, so you got to be real careful because competition is huge because you're both trying to get the same job. You don't know what they're going to say to try to. They might play that they like you. You got to just be very careful. You got to use wisdom and do your own homework and be careful what you say. Not be scared. I don't want people to be scared. You still got to live and breathe. But what's appropriate, what's not? When you get to know someone, it's like you don't want to send a text message that you start talking about personal things like sex and who's on top or something like that, because that's crossing the boundaries of workplace. You don't talk about that stuff, especially on a work email or a cell phone that you're using at work. Because that can be shown to anybody. It's just not right. What you say outside of the workplace. If you guys all meet out as a group, because sometimes we do social events, they get more people to meet up at a local bar or an event or a benefit or something like that. It's a little different, but you still got to be careful. Because when people drink, they say things they shouldn't say. But I could say I've witnessed it my whole life, and I still witness it today, men acting where they think they can talk to you a certain way, and it's harassment. You can't do that. You can't do that. Mm-hmm. And women are doing the same thing. I know a woman whose father owns a radio station, And, I heard stories about radio DJs. That the only way that they could make it on the air is if they slept with her. I've seen women abuse power so many times. So it's not just the male side, but I've seen women in positions of power do the same thing. And it's just wrong.
Yeah, I just don't think too many guys are going to report that. And they probably should, but not too many of them are just willing to do that because they may actually enjoy those advancements or whatever the case is.
Yeah. I can tell you one thing. I've been through a lot in my life. I've been through a lot of abuse, but, that's why I wrote my book, America the Windstorm. So it's just kind of my walk and my journey, how God was just always there and bringing people in my life and things I needed to clean up, because we all have to be accountable, even in our marriages. It's not always a one-sided thing. We have to see what we did wrong, what were our flaws, what could we have done better. Like in my first marriage, I put fear as my God. And instead of standing up and doing what I believed was right, I was more afraid of the consequences. I was more afraid of any kind of abuse. So, I hope that in some way, changing your prayer life and mindset, that I can actually make a difference in people's lives. To say, hey, this was my journey, this was my spiritual walk, and look at how I got the victory, And like I said, the whole Cosby thing, I was scared to death to come forward. I really prayed about it a lot. I even put it in my book, but I was different than Beverly Johnson. She put a whole chapter of Bill Cosby in the book. I said a celebrity. I really prayed about it before I put it in my book, but I explained the situation, not in super detail, but I said that it had to do with a celebrity that I encountered, but I didn't say who. But I put it in my book like that because I didn't ever want to get sued, And that's why I also didn't talk for a long time, David, because, Gloria Allred, my lawyer, was like, I don't want you to come forward. Your story is so different than any other witness. And I was actually on the hidden witness list because it showed character in Bill. It was a lot of the things that I said were similar. And in hindsight, looking back, how many times, the situation, you kept asking me to drink something. You know what I mean? It was just like his characteristics were repetitive in a lot of the statements. So plus I had everything. I had plane tickets, I had paychecks, I had so much proof of documents that I wrote down when I saw him, and phone numbers, and you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I was just waiting, and I wasn't allowed to do any interviews at all. And I had call after call after call after call of TV shows and newspapers, and I turned down everybody. And I was like, she's like, what do you want to do? What's your end goal? Gloria said. I said, get him convicted and put him in jail. She said, just sit tight. And that's what I did.
Well, I guess for Bill, when he felt like he was that powerful, and many of them women did succumb to having drinks and cocktails and him putting Mickeys in, that he thought to the point that he was invincible, that everybody, his mindset may have been like, you're hanging out with Bill Cosby. Like, do you know how privileged that is? And he felt like he could get away with everything. But again, some people.
I ran into his daughter in Miami. I was doing some fitness infomercials in Miami, and there was somebody at his restaurant, and his daughter. She was on the phone with him. And I was just like, I remember I wanted to tell her, but I just didn't. Because I was with my clients and stuff. I just couldn't say anything. I was almost scared to death to say anything. So I just didn't want people to come into my life and comb through my family and try to find things wrong that you know how the media is, bashing the heck out of you and your I didn't want my children, affected by that. It was just the right time. Timing is everything. It's just like how I won the Mrs. America pageant. I wasn't a pageant girl. These women were beautiful, but they literally, I remember, the owner, the president of the pageant said, I picked you during the week. You were the one. But they do background checks. Had I not been the person I was, had I not, had I been a drinker or a drug user or, had a bad background check, I wouldn't have made it. And my lifestyle I chose, it was my ordained steps of who I was supposed to be. I just never thought when I met Bill Cosby was going to be a part of putting that man who's destroyed so many lives in jail. And it has nothing to do with color. He could have been a white guy for all I know. I still would have stood up and said the same thing. Could have been from India or anywhere else. It doesn't matter what color he was. It's not a prejudice thing. But even if it, David, even if it was one person that he raped, he's still a rapist.
Yeah, you can't deny that.
Right?
Yeah.
Even if it's just one person. He used power and he abused it and he got caught finally. That's all. And I can say to anybody out there that is doing that to people, you're going to eventually get caught. You think you're getting away with it now. I call it an open jail cell, and eventually that jail cell closed. That's how it is. You freely go in and out, it seems all great, and you're getting away with things, and then one day you're going to be stuck in there. It's not going to open up.
I guess anytime you use the, the utilization of trying to overpower someone is never, it may never work out and end well for you. So it's tough, but I definitely want to, you have any?
Can I just say something on one last note?
Yeah, go ahead.
Say, I can tell you, if there's anyone out there that's been hurt, I'm so sorry. And stop believing the terrible things that people tell you. And that you're special and you're unique, and there's no other DNA like you on this planet. And that when you don't share your gifts, even if people are trying to crush you and bring you down, when you don't share your gifts, you're robbing people of you, the special person that you are. And I don't care, again, throw it in the garbage what people have been saying. Take information and spit out the stick. But know that you're special and created by the guy that's from above, and he's got great things for you. And no matter how bad it's been, it's only going to make you stronger, and it's only going to give you a bigger heart for people. And just make a choice to make things better and treat people better. I would say just treat them like Jesus is between you and them. Because when we lower ourselves and treat people bad and do bad things to people, we become just like them. We'll be different, make better choices.
And I totally agree with that, and that's the bottom line. You want to, golden rule. You want to treat people how you want to be treated, and we live in this day and age with so much evil going on, and people feel that they can just do anything and pull off anything without any consequences. Or I don't even know if a lot of people don't even care about the consequences. I don't know if it's just a lack of hope or apathy or whatever the case is. People are
it could be mental health, right, Dave? I mean, you're a counselor, so it could be a mental health issue, or you're just plain evil. There are people that are just plain evil.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember the guy that raped me was part of the church. I met him on a job. I didn't know his name, and I tell my people, learn their people's last name, because I didn't know his last name. He pulled up in a truck from, Ohio. He hid that truck, and I remember my plane was delayed that day. I was coming in from New York City. He was supposed to meet me in Buffalo. And it got delayed, and I told him, let's just do this another time. And he was pushy, really, really pushy, really pushy. And then my flight got delayed again. I said, listen, I'm just coming in too late. Just forget about it. It was a date rape. And the guy almost broke my neck. But I promised myself that day that no one else was going to hurt me like that. That was it, And I wasn't going to put up with that. But I show a lot of grace to people. I show a lot of grace. And you just, you deserve better. And through my first marriage, God, literally showed me when to step out and go to war. You're going to conquer it, but you got to walk through. That's why it says, though I walk through the valley, you never stay there. And I always say, God never loses a battle. So he's always victorious. When he's got your back, he knows the situation, therefore he knows the outcome, therefore you're going to be victorious. Yeah. Remember, at the end of the rainbow, you'll find all your good stuff.
So. I definitely want to commend you on your strength and your ability to navigate through all this, to go on and try to help others, where so many people end up living a world of hurting others, but you decided that you wanted to take on that role to help others. So that's tremendous in itself.
People in the audience, please don't be presumptuous as to what the person, how they're living, or what they're going through, or what their intentions were. I would say look at both sides of the coin, and look at there's always two sides to the story. And maybe there's a statement out there, but you're assuming people are making money, or they were raped, or they're suing Bill Cosby. I mean, you got to remember, not everybody has that story. You got to treat people like individual and never assume and judge a book by its cover. So take a step back and breathe before you start shooting out the arrows, because we live in a social media society today that it's a one-sided shoot out what you want, and you get angry when somebody counters it. And if you notice, David, my response yesterday, I don't get angry. Like I said, the first girl that, posted something right after my statement, I said, I'm so sorry. I didn't shoot at her and say, F you, or you're this or that. No, we try to understand where they're coming from. Even though she struck out at me, please, people, don't be presumptuous. That's the big word I'm going to use there. And God bless all of you. I pray for the world every day, Dave, because we need it.
And that's good. And when you have that ability to not be able to strike out and be able to just kind of kill them with kindness, you know that in your heart you're in a good place. You're better than me, because I still have to give them that heat.
And I got to say this, because I'm a minister, but I got to say this. I have friends that say, you need to take bitch classes. And I feel so uncomfortable. They're like, you're just so nice. I have students that tell me, you're just so nice. The most time I say, she not you. But I just love people, and my heart goes forward. I want to pay it forward in society. God told me a long time ago, teach the younger generation what you know. That's what I do. But I also want to reach worldwide. So, when I start my worldwide show, I want to reach people out, and I hope that if I can touch one soul, that's what counts.
That's what it's all about.
Thanks for the time on the show. And
thank you.
Any other questions before I go?
No, I'll be, in touch. You pretty much,
I'll get my website. If you want to go to my website and you want to check out my own natural products or my book, or you go on Amazon.com and look for America the Windstorm, Changing Your Prayer Life and Your Mindset. But my website is www.christies.net. So it's CHRISTIES.N as in Nancy, EC, like a fishnet. So www.christies.net. Lisa Christie signing out.
And just Lisa, just inbox me that information. I'll post it on this thread so people can see it as well. And again, thank you for taking your time. I know we went over the time, but thank you for coming on my platform to share your stories.
I have my radio show. I'll have you on. How's that?
I appreciate that. I appreciate it. So
right,
have a good night and take care. And God bless you as well.
You too. Bye, everybody. God bless.
All right. Bye-bye.